Let's speak now to senior Russia correspondent Dana Lewis in London for some analysis. Dana, good to see you again. I want to pick up from where we left off last time. We hadn't heard President Putin refer to anything that would really concern the international community, but that's changed, hasn't it?
Well, Maria, I've watched a lot of these things over, he came to power in 2000, and he's always talking about strategic weapons and new ballistic missiles and new, military platforms that Russia has and that Russia is strong. But, in the context of everything that's going on between Russia and the West right now, it all sounds pretty threatening in the speech today. And I think the West would have liked to have heard something about what is Putin's strategic plan? What is he doing with over 100,000 troops massing on Ukraine's border? And those numbers are growing daily, including warplanes in the Crimea now. And then today, there were a lot of different references to threats that Russia perceives, such as he's now, the Belarusian authorities announced on April the 17th, a few days ago, that there had been a plot uncovered by the Russian FSB for a coup in Belarus against President Lukashenko. So today he talked about, the West should not cross red lines with Russia. Whoever threatens our essential security interests will regret it like they've never regretted anything before. We ourselves will determine where the red line is in each specific case. And he said, Russia's being picked on. And as you mentioned, that he said this is turning into some kind of a sport, and he accused Western nations of levying illegal economic sanctions to impose their will on others by force. Maria, there is such a cavernous disconnect between how the West views Russia and Russia being a threat and how Russia views itself.
And why is there that disconnect? Because, there seems to be we've been speaking about it so much, it is making the headlines. And even today, there was a big media report showing satellite images that Russia's expanding Ukraine built-up is greater than it had been previously disclosed. So there's a lot of concern about what Putin is doing right now.
Yeah, look, that's the question. And I think the more there are sanctions, the more there is isolation of Russia, the less dialogue, the more Russia's ambassador has been pulled from Washington. Washington is taking its ambassador back from Moscow now for a few days of consultation. Eventually they will return. Spies are being ejected, from all across the West, from the Czech Republic, from the U.S. last week. Russia's kicking out diplomats claiming that they're spying. There is this spiral of a lack of dialogue, and probably this summit that has been proposed with President Biden and President Putin in the summer probably isn't a bad idea. I think they need to talk, but is that going to resolve any of the differences? Is Russia suddenly going to pull its troops back from a border, or are they going to stop hacking computers or interfering in foreign elections? I don't think so. And Russia's not going to stop viewing NATO as creeping up to its border and posing a threat to it, even though NATO says it's not.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your analysis. Senior Russia correspondent Dana Lewis in London.